today. Now go and tell all the neighbors, yeah. Then crank up the radio. There's infotainment, brilliance to get you on your way. Wake up and start your day with Jimmy Lakey.
Well, happy Monday, everybody. Top of the day to you. Jimmy Lakey is my name. As the choir has aptly informed you, pleasured, pleased, thrilled, and just a little bit tingly all over just to know that you're out there watching this morning, and glad to have you here on the show. All right, people are already checking in from around the around America, seeing a flash across the screen quicker than I can read them. I think I saw DFW there. I saw there's East Texas popping up. They're flashing in. Wherever you're at, check in. Let us know where you're at. And if you don't know how to do that, if you're on Facebook, any of the platforms you're on, there's Arkansas, Fort Collins, Colorado. And I saw a couple of somebody formerly from Colorado. They're somewhere else now, exiled out of the state, run by crazy people. So it'll be good to have you your 15th day of September, year of our Lord 2025. Lots of things, of course, cooking in the news after a very eventful week last week. And we're going to bring some discussion to it, conversation. And Michael Letts, our old friend, will be joining us here in just a few minutes. Richard Lyons, historian, going to be on the program this morning. And also Jeff Dornick, who just started Pickaxe social media platform. We have joined that. We are not yet ready to get the stream going on there, but I'm on Pickaxe, just my name, Jimmy Lakey. If you're on Pickaxe, give me a like, give me a share, give me some loving. I would appreciate it. All right, we've had a couple of days to, there's a Texas gal checking in across the screen. If you're on Facebook, you just comment in the forums. You may be watching on the Media Equalizer. You may be watching on Red Wave America. You could be watching on the very esteemed and popular Jimmy Lakey fan page. If you are watching on there, wherever it is, just make a comment. It shows up there. YouTube, are you out there this morning? Rumble, we would love to hear from you. Need to work more on that Rumble audience, especially as we try to grow Pickaxe. They work hand in hand. So whatever platform you're on, the only platform that doesn't show up here live in the studio is actually Instagram. And I'm just now, I believe we're just now going live on Instagram. Instagram is weird. I hate to say it unless we get a lot of demand for it. Instagram may be something we phase out. Once you start the show on Instagram, it clocks 59 minutes and 59 seconds, and then it just shuts you down. And it's so I'm not sure it's the most beneficial platform for us. So we could be in the waning days of the IG, but we got the Pickaxe coming up and some other exciting stuff as well. So, all right, let's dive into this thing. The Charlie Kirk assassination continues to be really, I think, top of mind for so many people everywhere you go. People that I knew said they didn't even know who Charlie Kirk was a week ago are talking about Charlie Kirk, talking about the situation in America, and then the global impact that this has happened. I don't think anybody saw it coming, that over 1 million people, I thought I had the photos earlier and I don't have them. If you haven't seen them, look it up. The Charlie Kirk support or rally or memorial that happened in the streets of, they call it London, it's actually Westminster. If you want to be technical, London is a very small part of the Westminster area. Anyway, in the UK, a million plus people blocked the Westminster Bridge. It was an amazing sight. And if you haven't seen those photos, it's literally aerial footage, drone footage, and as far as the eye could see, as Europeans and the Brits over there have been having their freedom of speech attacked for a long time. And so they were watching Charlie Kirk and his ability to have a conversation and allow free speech, and it's something that the British government probably could learn from. I hope they do. South Korea, there's some great video with the broken English accent of "We Are Charlie Kirk." I won't do the impersonation, but I thought it was wonderful. New Zealand hit the streets as well. I mean, all across the globe, young people have hit the streets talking about Charlie Kirk and standing up for the free speech movement. There's a new stat out. On Friday, I heard that there had been 14,000 new applications. Now, Charlie Kirk, if you don't know, because I know a lot of people weren't familiar with him, Turning Point USA, you can have a chapter, like you could have a Young Republicans Club or a Young Life or a Fellowship of Christian Athletes chapter at your school. Well, Turning Point USA had about 3,500 chapters, colleges, and high schools prior to the day that shall live in infamy. As of yesterday, as of Friday, I heard it was 14,000 new applicants. That's what I heard. And then as of last night, this is what Fox News put up. There have now been 32,000 applications to open new chapters on campuses, high school and universities across America, and in other places that they may allow chapters. So I'm not sure all of those are schools, but request now to Turning Point USA 32,000 new chapters. If that doesn't tell you what the devil meant for good, the Lord God means for bad. God brings it up for good, because what they have done is truly amplified the voice of Charlie Kirk. If this is true, and let's say even half of those clubs and Turning Point chapters get going, it will be absolutely phenomenal. And I was watching even on Fox News, just down the street from me is the very liberal leftist University of Colorado at Boulder, and they have a very active Turning Point USA group there. So it's a phenomenon to see, but not just people hitting the streets of London, New Zealand, South Korea, all around America. The Kennedy Center last night in Washington was filled to capacity. People were singing hymns, speaking in honor of Charlie Kirk. Vigils, I know, in Denver at a place called Brave Church last night. There was a packed house. Some guy even declared his run for governor of Colorado based on Charlie's inspiration. So feel free in the chat rooms to give us your stories. What did you see this weekend? What are you hearing? RJ says, we attended a vigil for Charlie in Clarksville, Arkansas on Friday. It was awesome to see so many people come out and mourn and celebrate this amazing young man. I'd love to hear your stories like RJ is giving us. Did you see things? Did you hear things? Were you amazed by things? When I heard that they were over 1 million people on the streets of London, I thought this was crazy. When do you think the British will start chanting, "We stand with the colonists"? That's funny. Well, over 1 million of them do stand with us colonists, and that's good. You know, another amazing thing, and I started seeing friends. I have many friends across America, several, that are pastors, and they work in ministry full time. And on Saturday, I saw a couple of them start posting, wow, the church is overflowing today. And I don't know, I'd like to hear your take on this. The church is packed today, which is a lot more than we normally have. And interesting, and they likened it to what they call the Charlie Kirk effect. And did anybody notice this? I'm not asking for you to make up a story, but I'm just genuinely asking this. Let me give you a little evidence that I saw at my church. I normally attend, if I can, if I'm in town, and I've been traveling a lot this year, I try to do this. We have a Saturday night service at my church, and I try to do Saturday night, and that's my church service of choice. But on Saturday during the day, long story short, I had an event that I was an MC at, and I was busy, so I couldn't go on Saturday night. I would have been about 25 minutes late, and I actually drove to the church, and I said, I don't want to walk in 25 minutes late, so I decided to go back on Sunday morning. So Sunday morning, I show up we have several services on Sunday, and I show up to the church, and I'm like, I go to my regular parking lot, and it's a traffic jam. It is like you are parking at a football. People are circling around. Our church owns a west lot that's about 2 blocks. We have parking lots everywhere. Everything was full. People were parked up on curbs. They were parked in where they're red curbs where you're not supposed to park. And I'm like, it was unbelievable. This was a 9:00 service on a Sunday morning. Now, first I saw the traffic because I got there a little bit later than I wanted to, because I don't have a Sunday morning church schedule because I usually go on Saturday night. So I'm kind of, getting the dog walked and getting everything I got to get done. And I pull up, I said, this is crazy. It was like you were having a Christmas Eve service. We're known for big Christmas Eve crowds at our church. Anybody else experience that? And again, I don't know if they're tied together, but just based on what I'm hearing from other people around, that church attendance has been a very spiked thing, because a lot of folks, even young people, are saying they want to live like Charlie. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told a story at the Kennedy Center last night that his niece was going away on a trip, I think, to college, and it was unusual for her niece, but he said her name, I don't remember her name, that she made sure she had a Bible top of her suitcase. It was packed up, and her mom said, what's up? Because she wasn't necessarily known, I guess, for carrying a Bible with her, and she turned to mom and said, I want to live like Charlie. Boom. I'm like, whoa. So I'm just curious what you're seeing out there, feeling on the streets, what your experience has been. I've got 3 sets of friends that on Sunday probably attended church for the first time in a long time. They just said it's time to go to church. Charlie's dead. So it's all anecdotal. I know it's not it's not long term. We don't know yet. But I just find it amazing that 1 million people hit the streets in London. My church was, at least the service I was going to, was absolute. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was literally people parking blocks away and walking down sidewalks to get there. And there was no reason. At first, I thought maybe there's a Denver Broncos game at 11 o'clock Mountain Time and people were trying to get the early service. But that game didn't start till 2 o'clock Mountain Time, 3 o'clock Central. So it was really crazy. And I would just love to hear what your stories were. Have you hit a vigil yet? Do you plan to go to a vigil? And just the response you're seeing in your community would be fantastic. Evidently, there have been thousands of people fired from their jobs. People have said they've had enough of them. We're talking communications directors for NFL football teams. A lot of teachers, public school, university, private, a lot of teachers have been fired. And we're not hearing about all of them, but supposedly the ones we have heard about go up into the thousands. Congressman Randy Fine of Florida, I believe is where he's from. Congressman Randy Fine, F-I-N-E, posted this on his X account and his Instagram. He says, those celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk must be thrown out of civil society. If you are aware of anyone in the 6th District of Florida, or heck, anywhere in the state, who works at any level of government, works for an entity that gets money from the government, healthcare, university, or holds a professional license like a lawyer, medical professional, or teacher that is publicly celebrating the violence, please contact my office. I will demand their firing, defunding, and license revocation. And he says, this is Congressman Randy Fine. He says, if you think I'm not if you don't think I'm serious, I got 2 state university board chairmen fired for less. These monsters want to fight. Congratulations, they got one. So I'd love to hear just your stories. We've had a few days. I wouldn't say to process it. I was texting with a friend last night and talking about the memorial service, and she was obviously emotional. And as you know, my emotions have been right on the edge because of all this stuff. So just fascinating times we live in, my friends. And I want to, this is one of those powerful, of course, if you're on the social media at all, you see a lot from Charlie Kirk. But we know that it was some retribution of the transgender community has gone batcrap crazy in this country, and he was being asked about transgender shootings in America. But, the Bible says you shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And people perish for a lack of knowledge and a lack of wisdom, so we're going to give you some. This is stolen from Megyn Kelly, former Fox News host, now independent broadcaster, podcaster like myself. This is Megyn Kelly talking and setting up a video about Charlie Kirk. So if you haven't seen this, you need to know it, because transgenderism keeps being brought up. And that's one of the things he's spreading hate about transgenders. He hates them. And, of course, they shot him before you could hear his answer in Utah last week. Watch this. This is Megyn Kelly setting it up, and I want you to watch how Charlie Kirk himself handles a person that comes up and says, I'm transgender. I want you to watch the respect. I want you to watch the wisdom of Solomon. How would you have reacted in that situation? Maybe you would have, I don't know, thrown holy water at him, laid hands on him, prayed, rebuked. I don't know what you would have done. But I don't think even I, a communicator, would have as skilled and calm as a response. Everybody turn this up. Watch this. Go.
We could be here all day playing similar exchanges between Charlie and a trans advocate or activist or someone who said they just were trans at these events. This is the real Charlie Kirk. This is the actual Charlie Kirk and how he handled that issue. Watch.
I just want to say I'm a transgender male. What age should kids be able to get things like hormone therapy? Because I don't know what's true, what's not.
Tell me, are you comfortable telling me your story?
I've known that since like 3rd grade, and I am currently 19, almost 20. I've known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. I just don't know, like, with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions.
First of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body. Mm-hmm. I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis. Mm-hmm. Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. My prayer for you, and again, very few people will say this, I actually want to see you be comfortable in how you were born.
Yeah.
I know that you might not feel that way, but I think that is something that you can achieve. I think that with the right team and the right people, you don't have to wage war on your body. You can learn to love your body.
It's absolutely beautiful and respectful in its honesty and its frankness. That's who he was. And it appears to have gotten him killed.
That was from the Megyn Kelly show. But any of you who have listened to the disinformation been spread by the propagandists out there, even in the mainstream media, that was the Charlie Kirk. I mean, he could be feisty at times, but he was always respectful, always caring. And it was just phenomenal to watch that. So I had a lot of stuff on Instagram. I'm not a master of Instagram. We got a lot of likes on it, but then it disappears because I put it on the story and then you can't see it again. But just a lot of stuff. If you saw some of that over the weekend, you saw a lot of those kind of post as well. All right. Again, the question I just have you is, have you gone to a vigil yet? I know there's another vigil. I know there's a couple more in Colorado. Charlie was supposed to be this week, I believe, at Colorado State University in Fort Collins, Colorado. And I believe there's people maybe trying to put together some kind of presence to be there referring or representing Charlie Kirk. A little announcement here. Producer Chad and I are working on this. We don't have it all finalized. We've put our application in. We've got the press credentials from the Turning Point USA. We're working on the logistics of it now, but good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. We will be heading out to Phoenix for the weekend, and we will cover, and whether that's a live stream or whether that's just break-ins or whatever, we'll be at the producer Chad and are planning to be at the memorial services at the State Farm Arena, or State Farm Stadium over the weekend. Again, working out the logistics, not sure what the setup is, but stay tuned for that. And if your business would like to help sponsor and promote that, we'd love to hear from you. info@jimmylakey.com, info@jimmylakey.com. All right, what did you see? I don't know what it was, but I'm telling you, a lot of my pastor friends across America were posting that their churches were overflowing. And I showed up for my church service, and a service I attend occasionally, but my preference is the other one. But because of timing, I went to this one. And it was tough to find a parking spot. I literally thought I was at the mall on Christmas Eve or the day before Christmas Eve. It was crazy. People parking blocks away, walking into church, and yeah, it was crazy, and I the only thing I can tie it to all these reports are that the Charlie Kirk effect. All right, let me bring you to the program in this continuing coverage of the life of Charlie Kirk and really the effect it's had on our country, and I think it will continue to have on our country. And I think anybody who thought they were going to silence the voice of Charlie Kirk is realizing now they might have had another thing coming, because there's a hell of a lot of people out there saying, I am Charlie. They have created an instance, which is a new generation's JFK moment of a live witness assassination. And it's, I think, going to transform the country. And I think you're watching some of that even now. Michael Letts, investusa.org. Michael Letts, invest.usa.org. Michael Letts, good morning. Happy Monday, sir.
Well, thank you. The same to you, Jimmy. Always a privilege to be with you. I'm honored to do so.
I don't know what goes through anybody's sick, demonic, satanic head to want to kill somebody, especially for something like, free speech and disagreement. But I'm guessing they thought they were going to silence something. I'm even amazed. I know they were going to silence Charlie in the Turning Point message, but I think the response has probably been even bigger than I thought. 1 million people on the streets of London, South Korea, New Zealand, the Kennedy Center filled last night. As of this morning, 35,000 new requests for Turning Point USA chapters on campuses and places. It's a different reaction, perhaps, than that satanic shooter thought he was going to get.
Oh, there's no question about that, Jimmy. I think the world is a little bit surprised. And as I was on another show earlier this morning, it's not just what's happening in America. As you alluded to, Jimmy, this is a world stage. You've got South Korea, London, Australia. We could just go down the list of the countries that Charlie affected. And I'm not sure that Charlie even knew he was having that kind of an effect. You know, when Charlie was with us, he had 1.5 million followers. The last 10 days, he's got 10 million. That's a tenfold exponential increase in a matter of 2 weeks. And so his influence is much greater than I think Charlie ever envisioned or ever even realized. The question is, what do we do with it? Where do we go from here? And do we get this matter resolved? Is it broader than what it is? Or is it just a simple disgruntled person, shall we say, who took violence to the extreme to silence a voice. I happen to believe that that's not the case. I believe it's much larger than that. There's no reason to go after Charlie just because you're mad. I mean, if you're mad at him, the people that would go after him would not be trained. They would just kind of walk up to him and try to smack him or shoot him or etc. It wouldn't be staged the way it was. So I'm very concerned about what coalition is behind this, and we're working on that right now, Jimmy.
I hear that they're building a digital footprint off this person's phone. He was part of a Discord or a Signal chat, and there were about 20 other people in there. His transgender girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever the hell that is, they knew who what. Was it a threat? Did they know the specifics? There could be some other people with a conspiracy charge coming up here real soon. Happened with the Boston bombers, and it could be happening here. Matter of fact, I'm thinking it's coming just by hearing the Bongino and Kash Patel talk about this.
Oh, you're absolutely right. I mean, but the question is, how deep is that conspiracy, and how far does it reach?
Yeah.
And even the Bureau indicates that there is a possibility, and they wouldn't say that if we didn't have some credible information that would lead us to believe so. There could have been foreign involvement, foreign participation, foreign intelligence agencies. It has the same MO, Jimmy, if you'll go back and think about it for a minute, as JFK, MLK, RFK, and even the president and Butler. And so, we have players in place that are so used to doing this, whether it's on the world intelligence stage or whether it's within our own intelligence agencies, or a combination of all the above, that's certainly a fair question to ask now. And I certainly want to make sure that we don't get bamboozled again. It is time for transparency. And I believe, Jimmy, that the president, Kash, and those are doing all they can to get that transparency. But when you've got people that have been doing this for generations or decades, it's hard to root them all out, Jimmy.
Let me ask you, brings up a question. I'm always balanced between, let's have the facts, let's pursue the facts, let's stay on the facts. But there's a lot of things like the Butler, Pennsylvania shooting. I think we're still being bamboozled. We don't know some things, and we don't know what this Crooks guy is. They cremated the body before that could even get cold. So we've been duped before for 60 years about Lee Harvey Oswald and the JFK. That being said, and again, I don't want to dive too deep into conspiracy theory, but I had people walk up to me, two people, Saturday at an event I was the MC at. I didn't even know him, and they said, he's a patsy. He's a patsy. And here's what they based it on. They said they showed us this video of him walking to the shooting street. He's limping. They say he has a gun down his pants. He jumps off a roof, runs off full speed. Okay, he did the deed. Well, where was the gun? Because they said after he shot him, he jumped off the roof and deposited the guns in a woody, grassy knoll. And he's running, and there's no limp. And they said, where's the gun, and how'd the gun get to the grassy knoll? That being said, that's a real question that I've had strangers raise to me, and why they just don't trust what we're being told. I get your comments.
Well, that's exactly correct, Jimmy. That's one of many aspects. We can go over a few more, but let's just take that one specific aspect. You can't stuff. I mean, I've seen the rifle. That's a hunting rifle. It doesn't break down very easily. So there was the counter to this saying, well, you notice he threw a black knapsack down. He had taken it apart and put it in the black knapsack. Well, you got two problems with that theory, Jimmy. First of all, that particular weapon is very difficult to break down. It only breaks down to it in a limited degree. It's not like a sniper rifle. Second thing is, if you broke it down, Jimmy, why would you put it back together again and go deposit with a little red bow saying, please look for this evidence? I mean, that's just simply not the way things operate. When it is a professional development, you have a lot of planned tactics. You have diversionary tactics. There were diversionary tactics used in this one. You have a weapon that is accurate, that can calculate in drift, wind calculations, trajectories, etc. That rifle's not capable of that, by the way, Jimmy. And you usually either have a spotter or you're one hell of a shot. And what I mean by that is you know how to do this. You can calculate. The calculations are given. You have to do the calculations if you're going to be accurate. You're either that good that you can calculate them in your mind, or you've got a spotter running a machine, a calculating machine next to you to give you the coordinates to set on the scope. So all that being put into place, that's a really big question, Jimmy. Why would that rifle be there? Have we run the ballistics yet on it to show that that is the rifle that shot the bullet. I have not heard that. I've heard that there's a probability they think it's the same caliber. You notice it's not getting a lot of press, that particular question, Jimmy.
Yeah, I've noticed that nobody's asking the question. They watch that video over and over again and talk about the limp to the event, but running away. And I'm sitting here, isn't that kind of obvious that something's here? And again, there could be an honest explanation for it, but nobody's given that explanation. And the sad thing is media, even Michael Lett's media on our side, doesn't ask the question. And I think we've been duped enough. I just believe we always just ought to be asking questions, whether on our team or the other team, and demand transparency.
I agree. And somebody would say, oh, well, you're not very trustworthy. Well, let's take a look at what we just talked about. Let's take a look at all the examples. JFK, RFK, MLK, the president. Do we have answers to any of those right now? Have we been given all the details? And everybody knows the answer is no. So we have a reason to ask these questions. And here's what we're asking for now. We're making a change. Remember, we're draining the swamp, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Assure us that the swamp's been drained and we're getting the exact information as necessary. Just as you pointed so eloquently out, I'm not asking you what answers to give me. I'm just asking that you answer the questions and then substantiate it with the documentation that the answers you're providing are accurate. And I'm not seeing that just yet, Jimmy.
Yeah, again, I was emceeing an event this weekend, and two different people walked up, used the word patsies, and I was like, whoa, because I'm sitting here going, okay, they found the guy, and I'm just trying not to think about it too much. It was a rough week last week, and then they bring that up, and I'm like, oh, gosh, we're going to have to keep digging on this one. Michael, one more quick question regarding law enforcement. There's a story out that the knives are out for Kash Patel. On Monday, former Missouri Attorney General, once President South Pick, will be sworn in as a new power sharing role. That was announced a long time ago that he was going to be taking that position as another assistant along with Dan Bongino. But for some reason, it's getting new coverage this morning as if it's a surprise. It actually was announced that he just had to finish out his current job. Is Kash Patel under scrutiny here? That's the headline at Fox News. Knives are out for Kash?
The short answer to that is yes. Why? Because of the fact that people don't feel like we're getting responses fast enough or full transparency. Now, I'm quick to point out, Jimmy, because, Kash is a friend of mine. So is Dan. And look, if we're trying to clean the swamp, if you go in, use an illustration, Jimmy, and take over, and you've got decades of people that have worked their way through the ranks all across, this is not a 5-man agency. You got tens of thousands of people that work for them. Do you think they're going to all stand up when you come in and say, oh, I'm a bad guy, Jimmy, you need to make sure you fire me first? It's going to take time and effort to understand who is playing by the rules and who is not. They're doing their best to sort through that. America, one thing about America, and about even myself and probably the rest of us, we're not very patient people, are we, Jimmy? And kind of like, I'm giving you Jim, I expect it done now. And after about 30 seconds, if you haven't moved, it's time to replace you. We got to find somebody else to move faster. That's not necessarily the right course of action or the fair thing to do.
Yeah, there's a lot of rocks and piles of rubble where these swamp monsters are holed up there. I don't know if you heard this one, Michael, before I let you go and talk about Invest USA. That evidently, I've always heard that it's hard to get rid of FBI agents, so they're in DC, they're in part of that cluster mess that's there. But to punish them, they'll oftentimes send them out to Idaho or Salt Lake. They'll send them out to Nebraska and say, you want to be in the FBI, Alaska, you're going to go there. Well, I heard, and I haven't been able to find the details of it, that the Salt Lake City FBI office had information about 12 hours earlier on this potential suspect, and they held that information. I heard this, but it was on Fox News. They held that information for 12 hours and never told Kash or Dan or anybody. They just kind of held on to it. Now, they're bragging, we solved this in 36 hours, but could it have been more? Have you heard this about this FBI office?
Yes, that is correct. And that leads, that's just one illustration of many that are going on behind the scenes. And Jimmy, it all boils back to, why would you not do your best to stop a tragedy before it gets started? We've talked about that before with active shooter cases, et cetera. And is there something else that's driving this? I think that's a fair question. And quite frankly, I don't think we've given it a clear answer to that yet. And I don't think America needs to sit down and be quiet until we get a clear answer, Jimmy.
Yeah. Michael, let's investusa.org, investusa.org, providing protection for law enforcement, ICE, people roaming the streets with these radicals out there that have shown no regard for life. And we want to make sure men and women in uniform are safe. Investusa.org, they can literally help you buy a protective vest out there.
No question. And, thank you so much, Jimmy, for making sure that you care to take care of our first responders. And let me remind folks, we are at a decided war between good and evil, and they will use whatever tactics are necessary, deceptive tactics, whatever is necessary to accomplish their end objective. So let's make sure that we give those who are fighting on our behalf, Jimmy, the ability to come home to their families. Make sure they have an active shooter vest.
Investusa.org. I thought I'm glad this suspect was taken in seemingly peacefully with the help of parents who now say they politically knew they disagreed with their son. But if they had to go in shooting and guns went off, I would hope they would all have had the best protective gear out there. And that's what you do at Invest USA. You make sure that people in putting themselves in harm's way to protect us are protected. Everybody go make a donation. Investusa.org. Investusa.org. Michael Letts, it's a pleasure. We'll talk again very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you, Jimmy. God bless you. God bless America. Keep asking questions. Yeah, you're helping bring America the truth.
Got to do. Michael Letts, appreciate you there. All right, real quick, I gave this anecdotal evidence that people on the streets, millions in London. I know 3 different groups of people that went to church over the weekend for the first time, and they said all of them in certain ways, spouse or my girlfriend or so, we looked at each other and said, yeah, we need to start going to church. And that's what's called the Charlie effect. And I showed up to my service 9:00 Sunday morning, and I'm usually a Saturday night guy, and I drove all the way there. And it looked kind of crowded in the parking lot, but I was going to be 25 minutes late because I was coming from an event. And so I decided I was just going to come back to church on Sunday morning, and I couldn't find a parking spot. Blocks away, people were parking and walking, and it was absolutely nuts. And I'm just curious if anybody else has had that experience, because I'm hearing that, again, it's anecdotal, but I'm hearing that all over from different pastors that I have. Anybody notice an upswing as a Charlie effect? I mean, when 1 million people hit the streets of London and Westminster and New Zealand and South Korea, it's crazy out there. Here's a quote that I will bring up. I know Thomas Jefferson had a version of this quote, but this is what that satanic shooter probably did not consider. Tertullian, a philosopher back from 160 AD, lived to 240 AD. The blood of the martyrs is the seed of the church. And I'm wondering, just wondering if what we've seen, knowing that Charlie was not just murdered, he was martyred for his faith, for his strong convictions. He wasn't just talking politics anymore. He was talking Christian values. He was talking Bible. And the Bible teaches us clearly we don't wrestle against flesh and blood, but powers and principalities in the unseen realm. And I think that's what controlled that moment. And that's a powerful quote there to realize. And I just thought it was interesting. At my church, it was over. The last time I saw it, our church has like 12 Christmas Eve services, like over 2 days, because it gets that crowded. And this was a Sunday morning at 9:00. And I'm like, where the heck are these people? It was traffic jams. It was crazy. All right, give me your thoughts on that. Give me your evidence out there. What did you see? Did you attend a vigil anywhere? Did your church spend any prayer time? Did you notice I know the Dallas Cowboys or Green Bay Packers, but they say up to 12 that they know of. They haven't reported this morning. It's up to 12. NFL teams did moment of silences or commemorations. So, again, the impact is quite phenomenal. Let me bring into this story a man that brings history into perspective with us. And I think we're living through some pretty impactful history now. Historian Richard C. Lyons is in the studio. Mr. Lyons, welcome back, sir.
Great to see you again, Jimmy.
I've said this, and it will be judged in history as a new generation's JFK moment. Let's talk about the impact of this moment and where we sit in history here. It looks like, this kind of actions can trigger civil wars. They can contribute to rioting on the streets. I mean, we saw that with the George Floyd thing. Things can really go wrong. This one seems to be invoking prayer and commitment to the cause and freedom of speech. London, it's a really interesting moment of history that the violence that you might expect of anger is turning into something else here.
Well, I think you see two sides of the same coin, or this country. If you are conservative and believe in the Constitution and in Judeo-Christian ethos, you go to a reaffirmation of those things. You affirm those things. If you don't believe in those things, if you're socialist and you want to demonstrate yourself, you burn down a couple hundred cities and you loot them. I mean, it's just two.
Yeah.
One side goes to breaking everything, and the other side goes to affirming what is the spinal system of our nation. And that's constitutional law, Judeo-Christian beliefs, it's free enterprise, right? It's these things. It's federalism. Let people be who they are. What you have on the other side is, if you don't do exactly what we say, we'll burn down 200 cities. If you don't do exactly what we'll say, we'll rig an election and make sure you do.
Yeah.
It's just, the responses are very characteristic, very defining.
You have written a book on the DNA of democracy going back to even Roman times, but in perspective, Charlie Kirk was really standing for what I think our founders wanted, that we would have discourse, we'd have exchange, we can have conversations. And for some reason, I think because of the media and indoctrination on school campuses, that is poo-pooed. You have to be woke. You have to say what everybody else says. You can't have a differing opinion. Talk about the perspective of the DNA of democracy and what happens to democracy when that exchange of ideas is halted and threatened.
Well, Charlie Kirk, if I may say this, Jimmy, Charlie Kirk was really unique because he was going where conservatism has frankly been outlawed. Since the 1960s, socialism is praised to the nth on university campuses. And our unique and valorous history is ignored largely. So what was Charlie doing? He went on campuses and through discourse. That's how this country arrived at its constitution, Jimmy, through discourse and debate between 55 members of a constitutional convention, representatives of 13 new states, discoursed and debated what is the best idea of government. In the summer of 1787, they did this and came up with our Constitution. So not only was Charlie Kirk going where conservatives don't go, he was demonstrating by how he delivered his discourse, how he debated the students, what actually he was the example of how this country was formed. Because he was using ideas, they were talking peacefully until he was shot. I mean, and that's the response of the left, right? He is on the right, and he's affirming our constitutional heritage, affirming our Judeo-Christian heritage, affirming free enterprise, affirming all the systems in our country which reconcile people. They reconcile ideas. When you burn down cities, when you allow lawlessness, when you allow an invasion of our country, when you allow assassinations and don't demonize them, that is disallowing discourse. It's tyrannical means to an end.
We heard right after the shooting, matter of fact, the day of, J.B. Pritzker, the governor of Illinois, said, well, remember January the 6th, they foment this violence, the right. Even over the weekend, it comes out that AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, has released a video where she seems to be blaming the Kirk assassination on conservative leaders. And she put out a video about that. What's going on to where you have some people that just are unwilling to admit that maybe with propaganda and disinformation, they have fomented an idea that these people are public enemy number one, and they're like the person in the white cape that jumps in and saves the world by killing him or trying to kill President Trump at Butler. J.B. Pritzker, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they're still saying the right caused this themselves. There's no grown-up in the Democrat Party right now to recognize what's happening.
Well, you know, between those two persons, J.B. Pritzker and AOC, they haven't got enough IQ to light a light bulb. They really don't. And neither does this Kathy Hochul in New York, who has now endorsed Mondami, a literal socialist and anti-Semite. This Democrat Party began this creep to socialism during 100 years ago, during Woodrow Wilson, and it's now got to a point where it's all the poisonous aspects of socialism. It's all the fang and the claw. It has more in common with Vladimir Lenin than it has with Thomas Jefferson, who founded the party. It has more to do with Vladimir Lenin. And, you know, John F. Kennedy wouldn't recognize this. He would be the first to say, what do you think we fought World War II for?
Yeah.
It was against this ideology. They are now for an ideology that we fought 2 world wars for and a Cold War for a half a century. And they want to institutionalize it in America. It's really mind-boggling. And these guys, we have to fight them on every front. It's cultural, it's judicial, it's legislative. We have to fight them on every front, Jimmy.
Let me ask you, a lot of folks felt hopeless last week watching it, knowing that if you dare to put your head up, it's a game of whack-a-mole. They're going to try to hit you. They tried to get Trump twice. They got Charlie Kirk. You've written a book, you've written The Shadows of Acropolis, the DNA of Democracy series. And how do we, as a country, but based on history, can a country survive? I mean, we survived brother killing brother in the Civil War. But this is, you know, in the modern world, there's a lot of people saying, is there any reconciling this country back together? Can we survive if you have one side that basically just wants you dead?
Well, there you go. And this is page 388 of Shadows of the Acropolis. And it says, we have to educate people and endorse and fight for the 5 systems of our country that reconcile our people and our ideas. And one is federalism. The other is representative democracy, not administrative state rules and dictations. The other is constitutional law, which curtails government's ambition. Another is free enterprise, which allows mobility. And the last, Christianity, which demands that we be humble with our fellow citizens and recognize that we can't be dictators. These are the great foundations of our country. And if you'll notice, these are all the things that socialism in our country is trying to annihilate, because every one of them are diametrically opposed to socialism.
Richard Lyons, folks want to Shadows of the Acropolis, the DNA of Democracy series. Obviously, richardclyons.com. That's LYONS, richardclyons.com. Give a quick plug for the books and why they probably could be more important than ever as we learn where we're at in this time of history and learn from the past.
Well, the DNA of Democracy is how and why this country was created and how it was so unique in world history. Volume 2 is Shadows of the Acropolis. It's about the growth of socialism and where it goes and how we're seeing it today, Jimmy.
Yep.
And, you know, how it involved everything about the first Trump administration and the Russia hoax, all that. The 3rd volume is called Passages Through the Shadows. It's the battlefields we're on day to day. It's articles I've written over the last 2 years about the day-to-day battles. There's an article today in American Greatness about the Kirk killing, which bears on the series of books.
You're a historian. I think it's becoming more and more obvious. I said it early, but I think it's becoming more obvious, at least for us today. Those who have lived through this is another one of those to chalk into a moment we'll always remember where we're at. JFK moment that for me, my generation is when the Space Shuttle Challenger blew up. And I remember that. I was in middle school. This is one of those moments in American history that shall be remembered and passed down for generations.
I think that's true because he was a very valorous human being. I mean, a husband, a father of 2 young children, and to be taken out in that way while he is trying peacefully to demonstrate the virtues of our country. He was demonstrating how you can behave peacefully and interact, and they shot him for it.
Yeah. Is the real hope here, Richard, that a lot of folks that maybe have been prescribing to certain political parties or political groups go, okay, this is dumb. We have to, I mean, maybe this is a turning point, if you can use that turn on words, for some people that have been aligned differently, but now they realize the error of their ways. I mean, I don't know if this is a quote, come to Jesus moment for some people, but we have to have some minds changed and recognize that the path of violence and destruction and burning down cities is not, and killing people is not the right path here.
It's all about, Jimmy, education. It's the education your show provides. It's the education and the foundations of our country, which were utterly unique. And people in universities, those persons who should know best that history, discard it and in fact demonize it. And instead, they glorify the history of socialism, which has, in the 20th century alone, killed tens of millions, if not hundreds of millions of people. And they hold that up as being an ideal. What you're doing is you're saying, okay, AOC, you can have all the wealth of our country, everything we've earned, you decide who gets it. And you decide who goes to jail. And you decide who gets executed or exiled. You go ahead, AOC, we're putting all of our lives in your hands because the state owns all the rights, not the individual.
Yeah.
That's socialism.
Richard C. Lyons, historian, and again, if you want to read some of his books, The Shadow of the Acropolis Passages, both Volume 3, and then, of course, DNA of Democracy, Volume 1, go to richardclyons.com or look up his name on the Amazons. I'm sure you can find it, but all of the work is at richardclyons.com, richardclyons.com. All right, good to have you here, the 15th day of September, year of our Lord, 2025. I had to get that right. Good to have all of you here on the program. I want to welcome into the program Mr. Jeff Dornick. We've talked with him before about free speech in America. He's the founder of the new Pickaxe social media platform. It's in its beta form right now. It's a desktop version, soon to be a mobile version. And Jeff, good morning. I happen to have joined the Pickaxe the other day. We're trying to get set up to broadcast. I'm there, Jimmy Lakey.
I saw that. We definitely got to get you promoted and build up your account over there.
Yeah, we got to do that. I've got to do the work this week. The Charlie Kirk thing has had us kind of focus on other things, but figure out, I think we can get our Rumble connected right to the Pickaxe, and somehow we'll be on the Pickaxe. So if you're not on Pickaxe, you can see it on his shirt. Go sign up, get yourself an account. Look for me. It's Jimmy Lakey, JIMMYLAKEY. You'll find me there. And brand new, just got, I think it was Friday that I got signed up and had a spare moment, and we'll get that working and rocking and rolling here very soon. All right, Jeff Dornick, following up here, jumping back on the Charlie Kirk train. You're a big advocate of free speech. Charlie Kirk was an advocate of free speech. There are some people that don't like free speech, and they probably don't like your platform. They obviously didn't like Charlie because they don't want you to hear another side, and they want to demonize with vitriol anybody who has a different opinion than them.
Yeah, no, it's very true, and I think what. We as conservatives, I think a lot of us knew and understood that, okay, the left in general hates us and they don't believe in free speech. But I really think that Charlie Kirk's assassination really amplified everything to where everybody, whether you're left, center, right, any American can truly see just how vitriolic, hateful, as well as anti-free speech that the left actually is. And what's really interesting is that you would think that the after something like this, that the tone would kind of shift and change a bit, but I feel like everything has just gotten completely amplified. And again, I don't expect anything less than that when it comes to the mainstream media and the talking heads and all that kind of stuff. But the everyday people, like the thing that I was really surprised about is how many people that like I even personally know that are anti-free speech, how many people that I personally know that were celebrating the assassination of Charlie Kirk. It was it's a very strange thing where we are in society today, to where we are so polarized, so divided, and that literally there's sections of our community and sections of like our friends and people that we know that are literally dancing on the grave of Charlie Kirk, celebrating that he was assassinated in cold blood in front of thousands of teenagers right there, and as well as his family. It's bonkers that this is where we're at right now.
Over the weekend, we saw a million plus people in the streets of London, Westminster area. It was incredible footage. South Korea, New Zealand, all across America, these vigils. I have video, I think maybe to show you in a second, of Huntington Beach. Thousands of people showed up there as well. It's interesting that Charlie Kirk was really an advocate of free speech. You didn't have to agree with him, but he wanted to interact and have free speech. I know you're a big advocate for free speech as well. Isn't it amazing that even in London and the UK, where they've been trying to shut down free speech, people came to the streets? There's something in the heart of man that just wants to be free and have an exchange of ideas and state your mind and not have to worry about getting popped with a bullet for it. I just found it interesting that people around the globe were impacted by a guy that just stood for free speech, and they said, we stand for free speech too.
Yeah. Well, the thing that I think a lot of times we take for granted here in the United States is that we're the only country on the planet that truly has freedom of speech enshrined into our constitution, to where it's an actual right. Now there's other countries that claim to be free speech and all that, but there's always limitations to it. Here is we're allegedly the only country that truly defends and truly has freedom of speech, and our founding fathers were very clear that this was not a right given to us by the government, but it was just acknowledged by the government that it's actually a right that's given to us by God. And so you have people around this world and just this entire planet that, while they don't actually have freedom of speech in their country, they know that, technically speaking, God did give them a right of freedom of expression, free speech, freedom of the press, that this is a God-given inalienable right that should not ever be taken away by the government. And this, I think that, in response to Charlie Kirk's, passing, and we're seeing the outpouring around the world, and especially in defense of free speech, you're seeing this yearning and this desire to just be able to freely express yourself and, be able to truly debate and discuss issues. And I think that I think was what was so crazy about the fact that Charlie Kirk was assassinated. They're literally having in the middle of a debate with a leftist, with somebody who disagreed with him, and he repeatedly has said that, look, as soon as both sides stop talking, that's when violence occurs, that's when civil war occurs, and he was intentionally trying to keep the conversation going to avoid the violence. And unfortunately, then the violence came to him because one side did not want to have the conversation.
Yeah. A couple more questions. Jeff Dornick is my guest. He's the founder and CEO of Pickaxe. It's a groundbreaking social media platform built on two uncompromising principles: freedom of speech and freedom of reach. His newest book is called Following the Leader. Jeff Dornick is my guest, and Pickaxe, PICKAX. Look for me there. I just joined up, and I'd like to grab a few new followers there because I just started there with zero. So Pickaxe, look for Jimmy Lakey there. Jeff, let me dive in here. People have been fired. I've seen counts of hundreds, thousands. I've got a congressman asking if you know anybody that takes government funds, works for the government, works for a university, and is celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. Let him know. People are being fired because they're using their free speech for bad. They're celebrating the death. Somebody even on the old Blue Sky app said maybe we should kill Erica. That way the kids are raised in a foster home with people that have better beliefs. I mean, that's how vicious they are. But some of these people getting fired are saying, that they had free speech to say that in the workplace.
Well, so no, you don't actually have free speech to say that in the workplace, and here's the thing. So technically speaking, freedom of speech is for the government to not restrict your speech, and so while I would strongly oppose any governmental interference in a lot of this reprehensible speech. So like if somebody's celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk, it's reprehensible and we should not tolerate it in our culture and in our society. But from a legal standpoint, I don't believe that the government should get involved in anything along those lines unless there's explicit calls for violence. Like you said about taking out the wife too. It's like, well, yeah, that's a call to violence. That should be something that we need to deal with, probably from a governmental standpoint, when you're actually having legitimate calls for violence. But at the same time, when you're looking at all these people getting fired from their jobs, like part of freedom in this country is that we also have freedom of association. We're supposed to be allowed to associate or disassociate with people for any reason that we so desire, and that's again part of freedom. So if you say something that crosses a line culturally or morally or societally, and you're sitting there and you're literally celebrating the death of somebody who was literally just assassinated for his political beliefs, and a company's like, yeah, you know what, I don't want somebody who's celebrating this a part of our company. That company has the right to fire that person because of the right of association. And I think that's the thing that we have to remember, is that you do have freedom of speech, but there's also real world implications and ramifications for your speech that you do need to understand may or will happen. And in this case, we're seeing that so many companies, including surprisingly a lot of leftist companies, they're like, look, this is a line that went way too far, and they're actually firing people before even the conservative outrage, which again is very positive to see.
Yeah. I everybody has the right to an opinion, and we ought to be able to exchange those opinions freely, and you can make your choices as to how you handle this part of life, but you shouldn't get capped or popped or hunted down at a public university for that. Jeff, you've got the Pickaxe platform out there. One more quick question for you. Discord is, I guess, the chat room or wherever they were having some chats out there. When you hear that people are spreading, and I guess they're now investigating everybody that's in that chat with him, like up to 20 people, and was it a conspiracy? Were they part of it? Did they know something? Should they have said something? When you hear these online forums being used for bad things like that, that's why some people want to shut down free speech online, because they say, well, look what can happen. If we don't control them and moderate them, bad things will happen. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah. Again, there's a difference between, allowing free speech and allowing differing opinions and things along those lines versus allowing criminal activity. And if somebody is coordinating, a violent attack or, something along those lines, that would be criminal activity. And so, like, even on our platform, you go to our terms of service, it's very clear and explicit. Like, there is no coordinating illegal activity, there is no terrorism, there is no anything like that. We will shut that down and we will deal with that. And I think that's the thing that I think a lot of the free speech platforms that are out there that promote freedom of speech, they take it too far to where oftentimes they end up getting in trouble because they allow illegal speech. That's actually what happened to some of the other conservative free speech platforms that got kicked off of things like AWS and the Apple Store and things like that, where they were actually allowing calls for violence on their platform and claiming, well, sorry, we're not going to get involved in censor because it's free speech. Well, technically, calls for violence, that's illegal. That can be prosecuted. You shouldn't allow that to be on your platform. And they were told to take it down, and they refused. So you have to understand what is actually protected by the First Amendment, what is not protected by the First Amendment, and then you have to proceed accordingly.
Yeah. The voice of Jeff Dornick, the new platform Pickaxe. Make sure you look for me on there, Pickaxe. Jimmy Lakey, got to maybe have 7 friends by the end of the day. We'll get there. Pickaxe, Jeff Dornick, I appreciate you. And you've got a book. People can pre-order the book. I'll let you give a plug for that as well.
Yeah, definitely. If you guys go to jeffdornick.com, you guys can pre-order my upcoming book, Following the Leader. And in that one, we're taking a look at the intelligence agencies and how they actually used cults like, Charles Manson and Jim Jones and things like that to actually test out a lot of their brainwashing propaganda techniques in order to get everyday people to do insane things. And then now we're seeing that kind of apply on a mass scale. And so I'm really trying to get people to understand, well, maybe you need to take a look at what's your worldview. What do you believe? And not just what do you believe, but why do you believe it? Or do you believe it because somebody else told you to believe it? Or do you believe it because you actually know for a fact that it's true? And so we dive into that, and you guys can pre-order that at jeffdornick.com.
jeffdornick.com. Go join him on Pickaxe as well. Pickaxe. Excuse me, AX, no E on the end. Pickaxe, Pickaxe.com. Look for me. I signed up. It's just my name as my handle, Jimmy Lakey, and it has not been changed to protect the innocent. It's right there. Pickaxe.com is my name. Jeff Dornick, I appreciate you jumping on. I hope people will join us over there on Pickaxe. I like it. I got a badge that says founding member because I'm early in on the platform. And that was just exciting. That made me feel tingly and happy and thrilled. It really did. All right. Good to have all of you here on the show. Jimmy is my name. Appreciate you jumping in here. Don't forget, we promote free speech on this show as well. So the Rumble feeds, the Facebook feeds, the Twitter feeds, etc., are out there. No, a lot of new folks coming into the program. I know the last couple of days, and new emails and stuff. You say, "What is Lakey Unleashed?" Well, for years of talk radio and conversation, I've been unleashed from the confines of corporate radio, and we do this right here. And we love to get all sorts of different opinions. Thank you very much. And we also like to be reasonable and let people know that, like Charlie, that let's be like Charlie. We can have a civil discourse, and you can disagree, and I can disagree, but it doesn't mean there has to be name calling or devolving into craziness. And I think that's an important thing that Charlie gave us in his legacy. All right, producer Chad and I are working out. We were working on it last evening, working out the details to get to Phoenix. To be out there with press credentials and cover the memorial service. Stand by for that. We'll see what that looks like, and we're just trying to work out some details. If you or anybody your business would like to be a part of that, obviously when we take a show on the road, there's some expense involved. If you'd like to be a sponsor, we'll be sure to do an advertising package for you, and you can help us get out to Phoenix. We don't have the details out. Obviously, Turning Point just opened up their press credentials process. And when you hit, this is so fly the seat of the pants because of the tragedy that when you hit submit, it says allow 1 to 2 weeks for your credentials to arrive. You're like, well, that can't be right because you just opened it up in the events in a few days. So we're working out the details. Not sure exactly what it will look like, whether it's just content, live stream. We don't know yet, but we're working on that. We'd love for everybody to get ready for that. We're going to do our best to be in Phoenix here by, if not Friday night, we'll be there hopefully by Saturday morning. Good Lord willing, the creeks don't rise. Producer Chad has a son who plays high school football, and I have to announce a high school football game on Friday. So unless there's a red eye to Phoenix, we may be waiting out. We get to there Saturday morning, but we'll be, when we get there, we will be working our heinies off, working our little fingers to the bone to give you the best content and conversation while we're there. So stay tuned, and we look forward to it. All right, I want to remind you real quick about Sherry Cree, great realtor extraordinaire. She was on the program on Friday. If you're in the Colorado area where I am, I don't think you'll find a better ally, a better person to help you make your real estate dreams come true. Sherry comes into the thing with a couple of different paradigms that maybe are unique to her. One of those is that she really wants to, with that relationship as a realtor and a client, she really wants to perform so well that she earns the right or the privilege of becoming your realtor for life. That's the first thing she does. She also comes into a perspective of knowing, hey, if we play this real estate game right, if I help this company, these individuals make the right decisions, they could be building generational wealth in real estate. And that could really be a blessing to their families and future generations and leave a legacy behind. So she knows that going into, that's where she's kind of working towards. And then once it's all said and done and closed up, she'll take a portion of her own commissions and donate that portion of her commissions to the charity of your choice. We always preach generosity and giving money away here on the program. I spend a lot of my own personal money, my time, effort, energy in Africa. As many of you know, through Rivers Promise, we believe in generosity, and Sherry is a partner on this show that is very generous. Listen, you've been thinking about selling. I know we're getting, it's the holidays are closing in. Maybe you need to move quickly. Maybe you got some time. There's a fall window. That fall window slows down. It never shuts down around November, December, but then it reopens January, February. And it's you need to have a plan in place. So even if you're not wanting to try to do something before the holiday season and the fall and the winter hit, you need to be ready to go right about the time football season ends. And so you've got to do preparation. Have the strategy session with Sherry, homeswithsherry.com, and have a conversation with her, and she'll walk you through it. And again, she's looking at it from, she wants you to make the right real estate decision to build generational wealth for your family. And she also wants you to know that she's trying to earn the privilege of being your realtor for life for you, your kids, and your whole family. So she focuses on that, and she's fantastic at what she does. Homeswithsherry.com. You owe it to yourself if you're in the Colorado area, I-25 corridor, Denver, Boulder, Broomfield, up to Fort Collins, out to Greeley. If you're in Aurora, Parker, Littleton, Lakewood, you get the idea. If you're in just start naming towns, Arvada, she can help you there. The Firestone, Longmont area, she can help you there. Listen, and if by chance there's an area around that she says, you know what, I've got a colleague that would serve you better. They're experts in that area. She can help you there as well. Some people even want a mountain home. Sherry's really good at finding your properties. She's helped a lot of folks and find homes around Aspen and Vale, etc. So you get the idea. But that I-25 corridor for most of us is really where you're going to stick around and reach out. Homeswithsherry.com. Even if it's 6 months down the road that you think is going to happen, you need to start talking to Sherry now. Homeswithsherry.com. Homeswithsherry.com. All right, it's Monday, the 15th day of September, year of our Lord 2025. Glad to have you here on the program. Jaime Lagos is my name. Jimmy Lakey, pleasured, pleased, and thrilled. If you'd like to reach out to us, don't forget info@jimmylakey.com. If you'd like to make a donation to our charitable work, you see behind me, Hope for Children, Rivers Promise. Please do that. I'll be sending some money here this week to Africa. And I was texting my field director over there, Jonas, this morning early. And we were messaging back and forth about some transferring of some funds. So riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. Literally, I'm telling you, if you give today, your money would be working, saving children and educating kids in Africa, probably within 24 to 48 hours. So you can make an immediate impact. Riverspromise.org, riverspromise.org. All right, here we go. Round and round the globe we go. It's meme roulette. We steal memes. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Here's a meme. If you're losing friends over standing up for Charlie, I can assure you those were not your friends. You know, that's sad too. It is sad that some people just, rather than agree to disagree, they want to agree to demonize you because you don't think like they do. That's not good. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Here we go. This is from the Babylon Bee. We know this one. Universities quietly cancel the Kill Conservative 101 courses. You know, that's probably for the better that they canceled those classes, Kill Conservatives 101. I wonder if they're changing the class to, because you know what, the first thing, if you don't like a conservative viewpoint, what do? Let's go through the list. And if you call them racist, bigot, homophobe, or bigot's a big one, racist is a big one, homophobe, misogynistic, hateful, all this, they always use the same words. They don't give you specific examples. Then if they don't, they try to cancel you. I've been through years of it in advertisers, and they try to cancel you. That's why you have like-minded advertisers. And in Charlie's case, they end up killing you. So, yeah, cancel those classes at the university. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. This is comedian Dave Chappelle. I like Dave. He's controversial. The First Amendment is first for a reason. The Second Amendment is just in case the first one don't work out. Comedian Dave Chappelle. That's why he always takes people off on it's true, though. That's why the founders did that. They put them both there. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. A little cartoon here. I tried cooking with bourbon last night. After the fourth glass, I forgot why I was in the kitchen. I told you, producer Chad is a great cook, great chef, but except when he starts cooking with bourbon, it's forbidden from cooking with bourbon because oftentimes he'll forget why he's cooking. Why am I here? Sometimes the same with this show. Sometimes we forget why we're here, and it could be it's the coffee talking. That's all it is, coffee. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Sorry, I feel like they should have maybe thought the wick placement out a little bit better. If you can't see it, it's a skeleton buried in candle wax and for a Halloween candle. And yeah, the wick placement there should be a little bit better. We haven't had sophomore humor in a while. I like it. Like a bunch of middle school kids out here laughing. Yeah, the wick, just lighting that candle makes you hurt. It makes you cringe. So, yeah, anyway, maybe I wouldn't buy that candle. By the way, I got the word, and I didn't do the story. I have it here, that Costco evidently has already put up their Christmas displays. A shopper in Royal Beach, Florida, shared photos of a bunch of Christmas displays set up at their local store in Florida, even though Halloween candy is dominating the aisles. Yeah, there's nothing like buying an inflatable Santa in September. That's weird. Round and round the globe we go. Where we steal the memes from, no one knows. Ladies and gentlemen, that silence and that dead air means we have milked the meme machine dry. like teats on a bull, it ain't working anymore. And so we must move on and wrap up the show for today. We've been going long the last few days. Thought we'd get out of here on time. We're better than we were last week of overtime. The extra content is all free to all of you. Hey, don't forget, follow me, facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page. Our charity work is found under the word Rivers Promise on Facebook and facebook.com/Jimmy Lakey fan page, facebook.com/Rivers Promise. If you'd like to make a donation to our charity, riverspromise.org. Also, we have a trip we're putting together. Everybody's been thinking about traveling to Africa. There's an opportunity. We always have opportunities, but we're going to be doing a trip, it looks like in February, with the public. I'll be doing a couple of trips before then on my own. But February, if anybody's wanted to ever travel, gotcha. Until we meet again, I mean this, tomorrow morning, I'll see you. Until then, go like us, subscribe us, Spotify, iHeart, Podbean, Apple Podcasts, anywhere fine podcasts are served. And also, don't forget, I'll announce we're going to be reviving a new episode of the Critical Mission Podcast this week. So if you don't subscribe to the Critical Mission Podcast, this year's about politics, that's about influence. And follow the Critical Mission Podcast on all your favorite podcast platforms. Until we meet again tomorrow morning, God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here. I miss you.